Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Linda Griffin. I'm the Education Programs Coordinator with Business Link. I'm going to allow about a minute for everyone to settle in, come aboard and settle into this presentation. While I do that, I am going to be putting a link into chat, which I'm doing right now. There's a link for everyone who can grab it out of chat to the two downloadable PDFs that we have as part of this presentation today. I'm also going to start with a couple of housekeeping items. Um, One of the housekeeping items we have is you can look at the bottom of your screen and you can see that we have chat at the bottom of the screen. That's where you can introduce yourself, say hello, and just say hi. There's also, I believe we have it at the bottom. I don't see it on mine, but you can also ask questions. Now, typically there's a Q&A down here. So I'm going to see if we've got the Q&A in the bottom. If not, if you don't see Q&A at the bottom of your screen, oh, here it is. You'll see Q&A. That's where we want you to type in your questions. If you have questions throughout the presentation today, we'll be pausing on and off throughout the presentation just to make sure that you've got a little bit of an ability to have some of your questions answered. So use chat for introduction, use Q&A for things like, oh, I have a burning question about this, or I have a burning question about that. So that'll be important to understand at that point in time. So I think we've covered off housekeeping for everyone today, and I'm going to settle in. And usually, what we do when we start every meeting with Business Link is we conduct a land acknowledgement. So I'm going to start with that. We acknowledge and respect that we are on traditional land, meeting grounds, territories, gathering places, and traveling routes of Treaty 4, 6, 7, 8, and 10, and the home to many First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people. In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge the lands of those who've come before us, reside here now and in the future. All right, so I am super pleased today to be bringing this presentation to you, and I'm welcoming our guest speaker today. So Karen Sticks has over 25 years of business experience working as a general manager, chief financial officer, controller, chief accountant, auditor, and accountant for several Edmonton and Vancouver-based companies in the industries of transportation, steel building, manufacturing, education, oil and gas transportation, retail sports, retail computing, and public practice accounting and auditing. She is semi-retired, but continues to operate three small businesses: Sticks and Associates, Strawberry Farm and Friends, very cool, and Skiers with Sticks. She is an active volunteer in the community, leading and implementing initiatives on many nonprofit boards, including CPA Edmonton Chapter Board, Parent Council School Boards, the McGrath Heights Board, and the CPA Financial Literacy and Volunteer Tax Programs. She is active in education and was a moderator in the CMA Strategic Leadership Program for 10 years and a sessional instructor for the University of Alberta. Karen enjoys coaching sports for adults and children and likes to keep fit, participating in a variety of sporting activities. She has competed in middle to long distance running events at the Canadian National Championships and for the University of Alberta, Block A Award, and the province of Alberta. Her other interests include playing musical instruments. Ooh, I have to get together with you, Karen. Piano, ukulele, flute, alto sax. Hey, I did alto sax in high school jazz. Yay! With some singing involved, writing life lessons, books, and stories, producing musical, instrumental, and vocal CDs performed by her son, farming, boating, and traveling to interesting places with her husband, son, and two Havanese dogs. Okay, so you are like a Renaissance woman. Welcome, Karen. Thank you for taking the time to do this with us today. Really appreciate you coming and doing this. So without further ado, take it away.
I will. Thank you very much, Linda, and thank you everyone for joining in today. This is actually about you and not me, and I really want to make this as interactive as we can. I have some business experience, as you've heard, and so I have a few stories to tell, but let's figure out where you're at in your journey. Would you like to, in the chat area, and Linda will take a look at this and maybe chime in and report back to what she sees. We're sort of looking to find out where you're at in your journey on starting a business. Are you at the inception stage where you're just in the idea phase? That would be number one. Are you at the point where you're actually starting to operate and do some work on your business and produce something? That would be two. Are you at a stage where you want to expand your business a bit and you're looking to find some people to partner up with and to inject funds into your business? Let's just go simple, 1, 2, or 3. And Linda, if you'd like to give an idea of, what you see, that would be great.
We have lots of 1s and 2s. We have lots of people in the ideation stage, pre-startup, startup. Oh, I have a 0. We have a 0, Christian. That's great. Thank you. But you do
Okay.
have some mostly 1s and 2s, but we have Kayla, who's got a business that they are looking to expand, and I have a 1.5. So we have a 0, we have a 1.5, but mostly 1s and 2s.
Okay, that's great. Well, then we'll kind of get started with the idea and start up into production phase. And we'll call upon the more advanced people to share some of their experience as well as we proceed. So we're talking today for about an hour. My presentation is going to be very interactive, so please, if you have questions, do ask them as we proceed, and we'll save some time at the end as well for some questions. Our presentation today will simply cover about 5 different topic areas. We're going to talk about types of business structures. We're going to talk about the business plan. We're going to talk about cash flow and financing, staffing, and taxes. Those are the big 5 that really should cross your mind when you're operating a business. So let's start by talking about really what defines a startup. A startup is a business that's been in operation for less than 3 years. And over half of new startups are run part-time. That means usually what happens is people have a whole lot of other things going on in their life, and this is an idea that's been festering, and they want to take a run at it, see what they can do with it. So they tend to start off with about $5,000 and see where they can go. That's really how most businesses start. 32% of startups are tech-based, and the solo run businesses actually account for 1.3 million of the 2.4 million total businesses in Canada. Very interesting statistic, because that's over half the businesses in Canada. The small owner-operated business is really prolific in our country. So when you think about starting a business, usually I think what most people start to do is they're formulating ideas, and they're really not thinking about structures and cash flow and a lot of those things. And that's where I'm coming in. I'm coming in to provide you a framework. Some of the ideas that you will have for your business are great, and we're going to explore those in a minute. But I'd like to start with a framework. When you're starting a business, you kind of want to think about how should it best be set up. And there's 3 types of structures. From simplest to more complicated, you've got sole proprietorship, you've got partnership, and corporation. The simplest way to start is the sole proprietorship, which means you're on your own. You account for more than half of Canadian businesses. And what's great about it is it's not very expensive to start as a sole proprietor. And what you're simply doing is you're on your own, you're in control of everything, and simply what happens is the net income that you will have in your business is going to be reported on your personal income tax return. So many people that start a business will have another form of income, and that other form of income will be positive. And quite often when you start your business, that income will be negative. When you net the two, that will draw down on the net income you have reported on your tax return. And so there's a little bit of a tax advantage there initially to help you get your business started. It's small, but it's there. So it will net out against other income on your personal tax return. There is some risk involved in not incorporating a business, in that you are personally liable for anything that goes wrong. So you have to think about what sort of risk is involved in your business. Another thing to do is, if you choose to operate your business outside of your own personal name, you'll want to register it with the province. It's a small registration fee, and you just simply go onto the Alberta website and register your business, and you can do a search of the trade names or copyrights to make sure that the name of your business is going to be accepted. The second is partnership. So quite often what you will do is you'll align yourself with someone else as you're operating these businesses, and you'll have to kind of decide what the split of things is amongst you and come up with a partnership agreement, et cetera, et cetera. But the tax treatment of this is the same as for a proprietorship, is that whatever percentage your partnership agreement is, that income flows through to your own personal tax return, and that's how you will report it on your personal tax return. There is another requirement once you get up into the millions. I think it's about 2 million in revenue and 5 million in assets. There's a special form called a T5013 form that you fill in instead of it just flowing straight through to your personal tax return. So that's just something to know about it. Yeah, so a lot of partnerships are formed verbally, and a written agreement is strongly recommended so that everyone understands what the partnership is for and what their role is. And if you ever have a disagreement while you're moving forward, you can always go back to your initial written agreement and talk about it and formulate plans to move forward. So written partnership agreements are highly recommended. The last structure is the corporation. This is the most complicated form, but it's a separate and distinct legal existence from the shareholders. And what's really unique about the corporation is that it's got legal protection. So individually, if you were to incorporate, or if you were to be a sole proprietor or a partner, you're personally liable for anything that could go wrong, whereas it's a corporation that's liable. So you're protected a bit personally. Of course, the corporation is more costly to set up and administer. For example, you'd like to incorporate by either going online through and setting it up yourself. There's a $250 fee to incorporate yourself. And you can also hire a lawyer. They'll often charge you, $1,000 and up to do that. You'll have to have a shareholder agreement, much like a partnership agreement, those types of things. But the biggest advantage is the legal protection. There are certain tax advantages. For example, the corporation pays tax on its own, and you pay tax personally on your own. And you have the option to either pay yourself via a wage or through dividends. And dividends have a marginal advantage over wages. You can select any month as your year end. And this simply enables you to defer paying tax for a little bit of time. Ultimately, if you're making money, you will be paying tax. Does anyone have any questions at this point about the different structures?
Hi, Karen. We do have some questions, and since I own a corporate registry, I'm actually going to answer them in chat for people. So, a couple of things for everyone so that they have some resources for this, because understanding what a corporation is, a partnership is, a sole proprietorship is can sometimes be a little challenging. So, I'm pasting a link into chat right now for everyone that directs you to our business link page that has all of our short videos. One of the videos there is called Business Structures, and it's a really great explanation of the differences between all of these structures. Another resource we have for you if you have questions about business structures in Alberta, how they work, how you register, how names are reserved, and that sort of thing, is the 90-minute Business Foundations workshop that we offer usually every 6 weeks or so, called Business Registration Basics. So the way to know when that next workshop is happening is to sign up for our newsletter. And once you sign up for that, you'll know when it's happening. We'll try to get one going either late June or early July for that particular one. I'll talk with Julian about when we can maybe organize one based on this webinar, maybe a bit earlier in June if we can. Yes, setting up share classes is confusing. Understanding who directors are, types of corporations, all of that sort of thing gets covered in the business registration basics workshop we have. And also you can get a bit of a feel for it by watching that business structure video, because there's a lot of questions around corporations, Karen. So I want to make sure everybody gets some of those resources going as well. I do have someone who's talking about a community contribution company. Those are BC specific. They're kind of a blend between a profit and not-for-profit. They're not everywhere in Canada. So I'll send Shanice a direct message as to where she can get information on that. They are not set up in Alberta. We don't have such a thing in Alberta. You can get a designation on your corporation as a B Corp, and that's a basic corporation that you would set up in Alberta, just like you would set up any other corporation in Alberta, but you write specific details into your articles of incorporation so that you can apply to get the B designation on it. So those are some of the more tactical and practical things that happen. Phew. Okay, hope I covered it off fast enough so you could move anywhere else. I don't see any other questions that we can't cover maybe in our own webinar at another point.
Okay, great. So you will be provided more detail on this at a later point if you choose to sign up. So let's move on. Let's talk about a business plan. Why you should have one. The biggest reason that I can come up with why you should have one is it's your guide to success. It's your written guide to success. It's a starting point, or it's a summary of what your plan is. It helps you to conceptualize how viable it is, and whether you have a product that when you bring it to market will be profitable or not. And I think that's really important that you have a business plan. So what are the elements of a good business plan? It of course should answer some various questions of what your business is all about. It should be in really concise, plain English, so it's very easy to understand and show to other people that you want to include in your business. If you're looking for funding or looking for their expertise to get them involved, simply a cover page, table of contents, executive summary, overall goals and objectives, and who the management will be is a great start, a great summary for this business plan. Other things that it will want to contain are a marketing strategy. So basically, say you have a product that you're selling. For example, say I have some vegetables. Well, what's my strategy to sell those vegetables? Am I going to, who am I advertising to, and how am I advertising? Am I advertising through garden markets? Am I advertising through community centers? And am I online? Am I in person? Am I phoning? What's my strategy? How am I going to communicate my product? Is it simply word of mouth through people I know? The next thing is financial projections. It's really important to have a map of where you are and where you're going. So you're going to want to have things like an income statement, which is going to have your revenue and expenses that are projected, say, for the next year, and then a little longer term, maybe if you want to look up 5 years ahead. You're going to have two types of injections. You're going to purchase a lot of capital items to start with to get yourself started. Like, for example, in one of my businesses, I had to build a lot of raised beds. So my initial costs were put to building these beds. Now I wanted to project how much it was going to cost me to bring these up and get them running. Important. Who are your advisors going to be? Who are the people going to be that are going to help you with the information you don't know? And you're here today. One of your advisors is Business Link, and I guess I'm talking a little bit and telling you a little bit about what I know. So just examples of people that will help you with your finances, your marketing, your production. Anything that you feel a little bit uncertain about or want to bounce ideas off others. So let's now turn to an activity. You were given a little bit of a handout on a business idea. So what I'd like to do at this point, could you find that handout and take a couple minutes and describe your own product or service that you would like to bring to market or are currently bringing to market. I'd like to explore the idea of why did you choose this idea over another idea? And I'd like you to critically ask, is there demand for this product or service? How do you know there's a demand? And who's your target market? And how will you make how will you market this product or service? And importantly, how much will you sell it for? And if you have more than one product, it might not be a simple way to do this, but just spend a couple minutes and jot some ideas down. And then if you'd like, let's share some of this. Can we share verbally? Can we get someone to volunteer by raising their hand, and a person could volunteer verbally? Let's give you a few minutes.
Okay, so while we're doing that, we do have people who are asking a couple of questions. So while doing a few things here, I'm going to answer a few questions. One of them is, we are not giving out a PowerPoint presentation for this. We are recording it, and it will be available to everyone to watch on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, in the coming days. Secondly, I'm going to put a link to the handouts for today's session into the chat for everyone, so you can open up your handout and start to work on your business idea using the handout. So the link is in chat once again for everyone to use. And as for business planning, I've put a link into the Business Link's free interactive online business planner, so you can actually use that to build your comprehensive business plan. And again, in June and July, if you subscribe to our newsletter, there's a great 90-minute workshop we offer called Bring Your Business Idea to Life, where we actually walk you through how to turn your business idea into a business model using a one-page business plan, so you can get all your ideas down on paper easy and simply before you launch yourself into a giant business plan. So please subscribe to the newsletter, and you'll see that that one called Bring Your Business Idea to Life will help you with those bits and pieces. And also the short video page I sent you to has a couple of great videos on there. One is called Life as an Entrepreneur, and the other one is, let me see if I can just pop a look up here for you, is called First Steps in Business. Those are the two, along with business planning, that you can watch. They're very short, they're very interactive, and they'll get you on your way as well. Okay, so I've covered off what we've got going there, and we're waiting on some responses. So what responses are we waiting on, Karen? What are we looking for?
I'd like someone to volunteer to describe their product or service if you're willing. And if you're not, that's okay too. But maybe the person who's a little more advanced in their process would be willing to share what they're doing. Just raise your hand if you're willing.
Ooh, 5 people raised their hands.
That's
Heck.
it. Yeah. Okay, well, Linda, I'm going to let you, I guess, who's the person who feels they're quite advanced in their plan? I guess let's just take one person. Just let one person talk and tell us what's going on.
Okay, so who in the people who've raised their hands or haven't raised their hands is at the 2+ years with an actual product or service they're currently selling? If you want to pop that into chat, I will let you, I will unmute you and let you talk. So does someone want to send me a chat to host and panelists saying I am the person 3 years plus in business or 2 years plus in business who has a product or service? Please put that in chat now so I can lower your hand and get to you and unmute you. Two years plus in business and software. Mary, do you want software? Okay, let's go to Mary. Mary, I don't know if I can unmute you. Let's see if I can unmute you. Julian or Ashley, do you know how to unmute Mary? I cannot find a way to unmute Mary.
Yeah, here, I'll give it a try. One sec, sorry.
There she is. Okay, Mary.
Mary, you should be good to talk now.
Okay,
Hi,
go ahead.
can everybody hear me?
We can.
Okay, cool. So our business idea, describe product and service. So our service is a SaaS service. So it's a software service that is a monthly subscription service. It's targeted at the automotive industry, specifically dealerships, dealer groups, and automotive brands. We chose this over other ideas because we saw a gap in the market that we were able to fill. And my partner has experience in this industry. So we decided that this was the best option for a first business idea. Is there demand for this product or service? We believe so. I think right now what we see in the market is businesses are currently using Excel spreadsheets, sticky notes, and push notifications really to use this business process. So our goal was to automate it and fill the gap with software. And that our target market, like I said, is dealerships, dealer groups, and automotive brands. We're going to market by reaching out to a network, building a network, using our contacts that we have in the industry. We're going to focus on our LinkedIn reaching out because it's a business to business, so not a business to consumer. So that's how we're going to focus on our marketing. And then we're going to sell it for about $800 a month. That's it.
Okay, great. Okay. Okay, so do you have a business plan or is this, how far along are you with this?
Yes, the business plan is complete and we're launching next month. So we've been doing our user testing and our pilot testing in dealerships that are allowing us to use them as a flagship. So our first user base, and they're going to continue to be our pilot for all existing or all future updates or changes to the software that we're going to be using. And we've been getting great feedback. So we've moved from our minimal viable product that we had to version 1. And we're just fixing all the details before version 1 is launched to retail.
Great. Okay. Well, that's really great. Thank you for sharing that. It sounds like you're quite well planned out and you're moving forward. Do you see any anything that in your moving forward that concerns you at this point?
The only thing that concerns us is we did have trouble in the Calgary market trying to find a lawyer that was experienced in SaaS. So we had to go to Ontario or look in Ontario to find somebody that was able to do that for us. So that was a barrier that we experienced. And that's the only thing that we've seen so far that has been, other than the ambiguity that is entrepreneurship. That's another thing that we've been navigating, but that's about it.
Looking for a lawyer to help you. So it sounds like it's a partnership. Is that going to be the structure of your business?
It's a corporation. It's just the other managing director of the corporation is my partner.
Okay. So you've decided it's a corporation and you've incorporated already then?
Yes.
The lawyer. Okay, so you're pretty far along. Okay, well that's great. Well, that's a really good example of how to structure a business idea and how to move it forward. Your next challenge, of course, will be revenue. Do you view that as a challenge, or do you feel that by using them as testers, that's been a great way to market?
Yeah, revenue is the next goal for sure. The thing that we've been having difficulty is how do you price out a product, especially a software product, because we have background in the industry. We've seen a lot of products over the years. And I have background in a different area, in a different industry that I've also implemented a couple software products and seen prices there, but that's been difficult. But we've been trying to meet other mentors and investors, and they've been giving us advice on how we should price out a software product, and that's been very helpful. So hopefully it's the right fit for the market, and it helps with the revenue.
Okay, great. And so far, the expense side of it, is that has that been a big expense for you, or is it mostly sweat equity, or how are you able to fund what you're doing? What was your plan there?
The company is completely bootstrapped, so we're using our own savings to fund everything, and it's mostly sweat equity, using our own skills and a lot of education and a lot of studying to fill the gaps that we don't have.
Right. Okay. Well, that's a great example. Thank you for sharing that with us, Mary. Okay, well, that helps us to get a great example started. And the majority of businesses do start that way, where they're just trying to wrap their mind around the product and the idea and to deal with everything that they need to know about the product. Many businesses do find that the pricing and the marketing and the selling of it is a challenge, and they will over focus on the production side of it and miss the marketing side of it. It sounds like you've got some of that covered just by involving your future customers into the testing of that product. So I'm wishing you all the best with that, and thanks again for sharing that with us. Let's move forward from here for now, unless we have time for one other person to share, if you'd like to share, because I think these are valuable for people to hear and listen to. I just have some slides where I'll talk about cash flow and financing and taxes. So I'm very close to being finished the presentation, and I think it's valuable in terms of hearing from others. So can we get one other person volunteering?
Okay, so I'll watch for hands to go up. I just lowered some hands. So if you want to volunteer, Shanice has raised a hand. So I'm going to allow you to talk. Go ahead.
Hi there. So my business idea is just starting out. It's in the like idea stage. Actually have the feasibility study coming up at the end of the month. So the idea I have in mind for the business is to operate as a for-profit social enterprise. And I hope I have the terminology right for that, because that's what I've been researching. So I have a education and work history in hospitality. And with my current experience and work, I'm doing a lot of like community work. So I want to combine the two somehow. So I'm thinking to generate revenue through a kitchen or a cafe or something. And a portion of that revenue would go back to offer free to low cost programs for community members. Some of the other questions here. Sorry. And I chose this idea just because of the work I'm doing now as a community connector for my community and all my past experience. I just think it's a great idea. I've been telling people about the idea and I'm getting a lot of good feedback that I should continue sharing and, just move forward and see what I can do with it. Is there a demand? I'm not sure. This is where I'm having a bit of trouble because I'm not sure how to search the market for something like this. I've never heard of another organization or another business that wants to sell product like food products and just use a portion of that to give back to the community. So I think it's a newer idea, but I'm waiting for that feasibility study to get more into detail with that. The target market would be anyone really, families, single parents, individuals, kids, teens, youth. But I would like to partner with all different kinds of organizations that would offer like a workshop or a seminar or a gathering of some sort, and we would just fund that with the revenue generated and have it offered at a lower cost or free for residents. How will you market the product or service? This one I'm not sure about either. So I kind of just have been telling people about it, but I think there's still a lot of work to be done, and yeah, and how much would I sell the product for? That I also need to look into. So I'm at the very beginning stages, but I'm doing a lot of work to make it come true. This is something I'm really passionate about, and I think I can get it off the ground. But yeah, that's why I mentioned the community, the CCC idea, but that's not in Alberta, and I didn't know that. And I don't know how I found that information, but yeah, thanks for the B Corp information. I'll look into that. Thank you.
A couple of things structurally. Can I just answer that, Karen? A couple of things structurally.
Yes.
So one of the things you'll need to do is you'll need to decide whether you want to be a for-profit corporation or a not-for-profit corporation.
Okay.
So the structure of both of those things are completely different. Even in a not-for-profit corporation, you're still generating revenue, you're still generating income, and you're still paying people through the corporation. But what you're not doing, you're not taking out all the money that you receive as revenue, all the money that you receive as income, everything goes back into the company. It's not divided amongst the shareholders as dividends on profits at the end of the year. So you'll need to decide, is that the kind of structure I want? Because that requires some board oversight and things like that are a little more sticky than a for-profit corporation. So that's something you would want to maybe sit down and talk to a lawyer to get sort of the advice as which would be the better path in that type of registration. And I can send you a link to, and not every lawyer does this well. So I can send you a link to one I know who does it well for that kind of stuff. But I'll let Karen take away the rest. Sorry, Karen.
Thank you, guys.
That is really very important, the structure you choose. And then also, I'd like to advise you at this point to formalize your plan a little bit. It sounds like you know, you're moving along well with your idea, and you're also starting to market it via word of mouth. But what you're going to want to do now is you're going to want to formally write something down, because once you start writing it down, it really starts to help you decide what your next steps should be. You've already done it by talking about it. You're talking about target markets and how much you'll sell it for, and things like that are questions in your mind. Once you start documenting this, you'll be able to come up with more of a plan and more definitive steps to move yourself forward. So those are my comments there.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you sharing it at this early stage, because it's risky to do that because you're not fully in command of it yet. So that's really great. And the majority of people here today are at that stage. So thank you for two different ideas that we could share with everyone, and where we're at in our plan. So I am going to move forward now. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's talk about cash flow and financing. With every business, there's startup costs, which really are the injection into your companies. So, for example, with this software example, you've got some costs that you've been incurring with respect to testing the software and creating the software. You should be recording all those, because you're going to be writing those off over the lifespan of your business, of course. So I'm sure you're doing that. You have other costs that are going on. Very important to be recording them. With your other idea, with the cafe and developing products there, I imagine you're not yet at the point where you've been incurring any capital costs or recurring costs too much yet. But keep in mind, there will be startup costs, and you want to keep those recorded. You want to keep all your receipts either in paper form or electronically. Now, when you get to this point, you're going to be wanting to know, well, how, if I need some more cash to inject into my company, and it's a logical idea that will be moving forward, where are my sources, and what are the types of financing that will create some cash flow for my company? So there's equity, which is your injection into the company. Now, there's obviously, most people start with very little, and the majority of businesses start with $5,000, and you know that may be where you're at, and you've injected that, but keep track of it. That's something you put into it. There's of course debts and bank loans. So your business plan is going to be very helpful in helping you to procure a bank or a loan. And then there's scientific research expenditure grants that exist that you may be able to apply for. Crowdfunding seems to be a somewhat popular way to go as well, where you solicit funds on the internet, and surprisingly, there are people and companies that will respond to that and give you money. And lastly, there's friends and family. So now, how do you keep all these people happy that want to support you and support your business? The best way to keep them happy is to keep them informed. So keep giving them reports on how you're progressing and what's happening with the business, because with no information, they have no idea, and they'll be wondering. So very important to report to them periodically and to keep them informed of what's happening. There's another important aspect of financing and cash flow and that sort of thing. You want to keep your personal and business expenses separate. So you should be using separate bank accounts and separate credit cards. You can use software to record your expenses, And this is really the advised way to go about this, because once you go to file your taxes, if everything's all over the place, it's very hard to separate things out, and it'll take you a long time. If you can't do it yourself and you send it to an accountant, they'll be completely confused as to how to separate out personal and business expenses for you. If you send them a spreadsheet, it'll be more complicated for them if they can't tie it into a bank account, that sort of thing. So use software, you separate your business from your personal. Monitor your cash flow. It's so critical to keep an eye on whether you're, doing well financially. Once a month, you should be looking at this as your business develops. Really good accounting records, like we were talking about, keeping all your receipts, keeping them either in electronic form or keeping them in paper form in a file, in date order, so that you can easily file your taxes at the end of the year or whenever your year end is. Do you have the cash reserves to get through the lean months? Ask yourself that critical question. Do you have that, or is that not going to happen for you? You really need to ask that question. Staffing. We've talked about you can't do everything. You need to align yourself with people that will help you to grow your business and help you where you feel that your skill set isn't as strong. So the areas are sales, marketing, administration, technology, and software. There's finance and payroll, and then there's bookkeeping and your accountant, and then just the importance of experienced mentors. It's really important to align yourself with people who can guide you and help you as you move forward. Let's talk about the two types of taxes you will encounter. One is income and one is GST or HST. In Alberta, we don't have anything other than GST, but within the rest of the country, we have GST blended with HST, harmonized sales tax. General sales tax generated with harmonized sales tax, otherwise known as provincial sales tax, is what it used to be known as. So the income is straightforward. That's any net income you earn in your business, and you'll be reporting that either as a proprietor, a partner, or a corporation. And the GST is something that you will be charging your customers if you are earning greater than $30,000 in your business. If you're earning under $30,000 in revenue, I should say, you don't need to charge your customers GST. The other thing that's important to know is GST is something that you can claim back by simply filing your GST return. So for example, if you're not having to pay GST or you're not charging GST, you won't be paying GST, but if you're incurring GST, you will be able to claim that expense back when you file your GST return. So you need to apply for a GST number with the government. That's something important to do. What is tax deductible? Anything used to incur income is tax deductible. Anything not used to incur income is not tax deductible. Now, we already talked briefly about how how losses work in a proprietorship and a partnership. They flow through to your personal income tax return. In a corporation, if you incur losses, you can carry them forward for a certain number of years. And once you start to earn income, that will net out against the income. So you won't be paying taxes if you're incurring losses. Tax returns, well, we talked about tax returns for proprietorships and partnerships flowing through to your personal tax return. The corporation pays taxes on its own and needs to pay the taxes. Their taxes are owing 3 months after the year end. So it's a good idea to be compiling all of this and to file your tax return 3 months after your year end. We already talked about the importance of keeping receipts for tax. And what does it, if you were to be audited, what would a CRA look for in an audit? They would be asking you for receipts. They would possibly be asking to look at your bank account. And they would want you to be able to provide that information on a timely basis. So the more organized you are with that information, the easier it will be for you if, in fact, you were ever audited. Now, they're not going to audit, you know, they'll pick a really small sample size of people to audit, but it's good to be prepared in the event you are. And they can look back up to 7 years. So it's important to keep that information for 7 years. We've already talked about all of this in terms of being organized. So reiterate it again, separate bank account, separate credit card, stay current, use some bookkeeping software, and keep all your receipts. So starting off right is start on a really tight budget. Like really think about what your expenses are. Do your research first, like we've heard in you doing. You're thinking about these businesses, but think about how logical they are and how it's going to fit with your lifestyle and whether it's going to make sense. Keep your business finances separate. Try not to get in excessive debt, and take courses and read books in what you're weak in. And joining up with Business Link, there's a vast amount of information and resources that you can capitalize on. So you're starting off right just by being here. So at this point, I'll just reiterate what we discussed. We talked about the 3 main types of business structures, the importance of having a business plan and what should be in it. We talked about cash flow and financing issues and concerns. And then we touched on income taxes in terms of income and GST and how that can impact you. And we've provided through Business Link some tools and resources, and I have a number on this PowerPoint presentation as well at the end. So now, with any time remaining, which is about 7 or so minutes, let's open it up to some questions, and let's talk amongst ourselves via chat and see if we can get some more conversation going around anything you're wondering about.
Okay. So we have lots of people who are talking about lots of people who are talking about QuickBooks and what software to use. Yeah, there's so many different software to choose from for your accounting needs. So
the most common form of software that's used is QuickBooks. And what's really nice about QuickBooks is it links into a tax reporting system. So I see Melanie has talked about QuickBooks, and they like it. And you know, you talked about Xero. I've heard of Xero as well. QuickBooks is the most commonly used form of software.
yeah, Sage is out there. That used to be Simply Accounting, didn't it?
Yeah. And when you're using software, make sure it's CRA approved, Canada Revenue Agency approved. And the reason for that is when you go to file the tax return, it's really good to know that there's checks and balances on these companies, and that you're not going to be caught with not having certain information that you should be reporting. Now that's for the tax software, but for the accounting software, if you're going to link in with the tax software, just start with the right software.
We have a few questions about insurances, insurance liability, E&O, etc. What insurance companies to use. I have errors and emissions insurance for my company because I'm required to have it as a corporate registry provider in Alberta. Not everyone is required to have errors and emissions insurance, and it's not offered by a lot of insurance agencies, much in the same whereas, every insurance agency probably offers auto and things like that. The best way to get an answer on what insurances you need is to talk to your insurance broker about, what your business is, what you're looking for, and ask them to explain if you even need, some of these commercial insurances or liability insurances, or if you even need errors and emissions. If you're a coach and you're a member of the coaching federation, reach out to the coaches federation, talk about, what they recommend for insurances, and if they have any connections with their organization to insurance companies who provide, special discounts for coaching federation members, things like that. Any other thoughts, Karen?
There's someone asking for a recommendation of an insurance company, a specific recommendation. Are you in a position to be able to provide that information to them?
No, I think it's better for people to shop around individually for their insurance providers. I use Intact and a branch of Intact for my errors and emissions, but there's lots of providers out there. So it's really about who you're comfortable with, what you're looking for, and being specific about your needs.
Right. And I mean, you can start with, are you already using someone for some insurance, and start there, and then branch out if it doesn't seem like they have a solution for you. Okay.
Okay. Oh, where do I learn about, we've got one in Q&A,
Go ahead.
WCB. Where would I learn about WCB insurance?
Well, you could go right to their website and find out about it. If you have people on a payroll, certainly that's something that you need to be concerned about. You can find out the rules and regs right from the website. Linda, do you have anything that you provide through Business Link?
Not specifically for workers' compensation. I'm going to type in the workers' compensation address here for employers so that you can go right to the employer section of it. One of the things you may want to find out is, does your company require WCB? That would be the first question I would ask is, am I one of the types of companies that am required to provide WCB? You may be in an industry where it's required. If you're in constructions, trades, things like that, you're required to do it, but many industries aren't. Years ago, I operated a courier company back in, so long ago, I'm old, in the 90s, and I was required to cover my independent subcontractors with WCB. And one of the reasons I had to incorporate back then was because at that point in time, they didn't let you access WCB unless you were. So there's lots of different ways to tackle it, but contact directly from the horse's mouth, WCB, to find out what it is. And then they're doing a calculation based on what you think your payroll is going to be. So they're asking you to predict.
4.5% roughly, I think it's expensive. Yeah. So it's a form of insurance.
Yeah, and it is, but if the website's not helpful, that's when you pick up the phone and talk to a real person. Often I bypass websites completely and email forms and everything else and get to a real person. And what you need to do when you get to a real person is you need to be completely specific. You have to say, this is my industry. If you go to Google and type up, look up my NAICS code lookup, find out what your NAICS code is for your industry, call up WCB and say, I'm in this industry, this is my NAICS code, this is what I anticipate my payroll to be. How are we calculating that? Am I required to have it? That sort of thing. And then they can get a much clearer answer for you and be more helpful to you.
Hey, I think we might have time for one more question, for sure.
Oh, excellent. We have lots of thank yous. Oh, everybody, I am putting a link in chat right now to a survey. I'm going to ask you all to complete this very short 9-question survey. just asking how our session went today. It's really important for us to get this feedback so we can keep providing you with great information and tools, and always improve our services as well. So I've put the survey link in chat. Please open it up and really help us out by helping us get some information back how we did today. Oh, we have one more question if you want to answer it.
I do. And thank you for all the thank yous. And like Linda said, the survey is really important to us. So please do take the time. It won't take much of your time, couple minutes. Go ahead with the last question. What would we like to?
We have, could you share some best practices or strategies for running a successful crowdfunding campaign, particularly in terms of engaging backers and maximizing campaign visibility?
Oh, okay, that's a great question. I think when you're looking to crowdfund, you have to make it sound like it's really important that you get this off the ground. I think you need to be concise with how you're communicating, because people's attention spans for that sort of thing is limited. But I would try to include pictures too, if possible, of the product or what you intend to do. And also how you feel that this business is beneficial. Like what makes it special from another business? What makes it stand out to another person to want to fund it? But I would make it a combination of, like, I would make it sort of like a couple of paragraphs, and I would try to include pictures, and ending with, you'd have some headings along with it, and why is this a compelling thing for someone to invest in? Linda, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yes, I just inserted a link, and I'll insert it for everyone as well into chat for how to run a successful crowdfunding campaign. It's a joint venture with the Small Business Administration in the US and the University of Rhode Island. They have 11 great sections and tips and tricks and things you can do to run a successful crowd funding campaign. So I've placed that to answer the question directly for the person who's asked it. And I've also placed it into the chat for everyone as well. And that's out of the US, which is great. University of Rhode Island and Small Business Administration, which is their version of places like Business Link and others. So you'll be able to get some great resources there.
Really good. Okay, well, I'd like to thank everyone for attending and for listening and for sharing. And I wish you all the very best in moving forward with your businesses. And thanks, Linda, for all your assistance, and our two people in the background as well. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. I appreciate you taking the time, Karen. I know you are super busy and you have lots to do, so I really appreciate that you did that today, and all of the great resources and help and definitions and learning was wonderful. Thank you for that today. One more time, I put the survey into chat. We will stop the recording now and allow everyone to pick up that link out of chat.